So if you guys are hoping to have like a well-structured, informative panel today, I think we're gonna kind of keep it super casual and just kind of let you guys into the insight of what it's like for us to just talk as friends, because it's chaotic, it's ridiculous, it makes no sense, and we occasionally talk about work. So it's kind of be a little bit more like podcast format. So if anyone wants to jump in and say ridiculous stuff, feel free to. My name is Greg Hopwood. I am a costume concept artist. To my left, we have Imogene Chayes, the woman who's known throughout Hollywood for having the best head of hair.
Thank you.
We have two-time concept artist award winner. Three-time. Oh, I'm so sorry. Three-time winner of the Concept Artist Association Award, Jerad Marantz. We have the king of diversifying your income streams, Imario Susilo. And we have some guy that was super late. I think his name is Luca Nemolato. Was that your name? Yeah. He got in the car and was surprised that it would take time to get here. So he miscalculated a little bit. But so today I just thought we would kind of honestly just kind of talk and work through some of the things that we're currently experiencing in our lives and in our careers. One of the first things I thought we'd just kind of talk about is some of the projects you've worked on, some of the things you guys are known for, some upcoming projects, and kind of like any titles that you've had through your career, just so everyone who might not aggressively know anything about you, that we can kind of just fill them in. So why don't we just start with you, my dear, and let's go for it.
Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome. Yeah, super formal. We're going to talk and answer questions. No, it's like anyone who wants to jump in, please.
Can I talk now?
No, not at all. Yes, you can.
As the woman, I would like to speak, please.
Oh my gosh, go ahead, please, yes, as the woman.
Hi, guys. In case you don't know me, yeah, I am probably best known for my work on She-Hulk. AKA the She-Honkers.
The She-Honkers, yes. Would you like to explain that? Well, let's just completely divert.
No. I'm just going to throw that out there and have
not
them figure it out for
Can we
themselves.
spend an hour on that?
Cool. All right.
How did you make them green?
How'd you pick the tone?
How did I make them green?
Yes.
I don't know. It's called the Control U button on Photoshop, and you toggle the thing.
Button. Okay.
Yeah. Click.
Hello.
But why don't you? Okay, now we have to explain
now
the
I'm
story.
serious. I don't even remember the story.
So basically, Imogene, there was a lot of comments online about the voluminous size of Imogene's
There's one
She-Hulk
particular
drawing.
drawing of her in a polka dot dress.
In the polka dot
where
dress.
I might have gone a little too far.
Yes, and we were all making fun of her in a group chat, and someone posted a screenshot of the photo, so it kept getting screenshotted, so I would slowly increase the size of that polka dot dress.
Yeah, the first one I didn't really notice. I'm like, did I really make them that
big? Yeah. And
it was just Greg messing
and
with
I was
my head.
slowly increasing them over time, and all of a sudden everyone was like, wow, Imogene, you have a problem. Like, why would you make them this aggressive? Like, Marvel's gonna have issues with this. And that's my legacy, and now she calls them She-Honkers, and that's my new favorite thing ever.
Anyway, yeah, so...
So your credits, sorry, continue.
Thank you. She-Hulk, it was wonderful. I got to work with Anne Foley, the costume designer, as well as the Marvel VizDev team on that. So that was a really cool experience. But after that, I sort of went back out into the production jungle outside the safety of the Marvel confines. And since then, I've worked on things such as Madam Web, which I think is coming out next year. And I got to work on the live-action Moana remake. And currently on this little show with a bunch of zombies with mushrooms coming out of them. Wink! Yeah.
And we worked on,
Yes.
we're allowed to, right? It's announced. It's on IMDb. We worked on Agatha Darkhold Diaries
as
together.
it's currently known as.
As it's
yes.
currently
And
known as,
That
yes.
was absolutely wonderful. I think that's the first time you and I
actually worked
We're
on a
on
show
the same
together.
show. And
yeah.
thanks to you, you very much sold me to the designer.
They needed someone, and I was like, so there's this person, Imogene, and she's great at this job. And they're like, well, and I was like, Imogene is really great at the. And they're like, well, you know, and I was like, Imogene is really, and so it ended up working out. So the rest of the panel is going to be about me and Imogene, and
We'll take it from here. Yeah.
we'll take it from
Apparently,
here, guys.
Greg, stop holding the mic.
Oh,
Thank you.
everyone has one. I'm just the only one talking
Mine
into
doesn't
it.
work apparently.
It is working.
Is it working?
It's working.
Sorry. We don't need.
Yeah. So, Jerad, how about you? Why don't you talk about some upcoming projects, things you're excited about? Let us into your world a little.
I can't talk about too much, unfortunately.
Be super vague and say project number 1, project number 2.
One, project number 2.
Untitled project 3.
I recently, something that just came out recently. I was very lucky to be included in the new Spider-Man 2 Insomniac game, and that was a very fun experience. They wanted a bunch of guest artists, so I got a call, and after 20 years of doing this for a living, someone wanted me to design my own versions of Miles and Peter, and so that was really cool. That came out recently, and
Yeah.
past work is like Avengers and Justice League and a lot of comic book movies. Yeah.
We love it. But you also, I would love to have you kind of go out of your normal conceptual side of stuff. It's not only in film entertainment, but video games, but you also, correct me if I'm wrong, wrote, directed, and produced a short film, correct?
Yeah. No, I did that.
Yes. Yes, you did.
Yeah, I did. I directed a short film with that I wrote with my wife. I think it's very important that we all have other goals as concept artists, because the industry is a bit unclear as to what's going to be happening in the future. So I personally write, I direct. I'm trying to get my own projects off the ground, and aside from being a potentially good option when if things inevitably, if things change, it's actually surprisingly made me a better concept artist at the end of the day. So by fully understanding the entire process of making a movie, you at the very least gain sympathy for the people who are working above you, like the directors, like everybody, and that's helped. Aside from that, it's also helped me put the concept art job in the right appropriate context, because we've all been in this position where these movies that we work on, we treat them like they're absolutely everything,
Yeah.
that they're incredibly important, and sometimes we put all of our creative eggs and all of our artistic integrity and our hearts into these projects, and they're really not our movies
At all.
at the end of the day. And it can be frustrating, when your design doesn't get picked or when they go in a direction that you didn't think they should go in. So by having your own passion project where you actually put your heart is very important, because it helps separate that from the actual job. It makes you better at the job. So, yeah.
Well, it's very interesting, because I've been very lucky recently. I've been trying very hard to diversify, and one of the things was executive producing a short, a indie horror film with a good director friend of mine, Colton Tran. And it very much like what you were saying, all of a sudden you see, you take a step back and all of a sudden you see how small of a part of the process that is, how crucial and important, but how small in the grand scheme of things. It's really interesting to get that perspective. So you're also able to pull away the unnecessary parts of it and really say, okay, this is what they need and this is why they need it. Let this serve the function it needs to function. But it's really interesting, and it's super helpful to have that perspective and diversifying. And I'm just hired a friend of mine to we're writing a script together. So it's like really trying to push past and get that multiple sources of income. But Imario, perfectly on topic too. I'd love for you to talk about some of your past projects that you're proud of, and any upcoming projects, and kind of hightail off the idea of diversification of like multiple income streams. Seems to be what we're talking about.
Hi, my name is Imario, and but first I wanna say, like, thank you for including me in this panel.
Of course.
It's really, you guys are my art heroes.
Oh my God, you're too sweet.
Because
One of us.
I'm new in this, in this whole movie industry. It's been my 4th year, so I'm like a noob in comparison to these guys. But so yeah, thank you. And my past project was a Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Star Trek Picard, Season 2 and Season 3. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. And Ahsoka, and the latest one was Ahsoka, and
Yeah, super new to the industry and just casually dropping these titles. Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Picard. You have done some really amazing work on some really
Thank
big
you, sir.
projects.
Thank you. And and then in conjunction to diversify your income and outside the movie industry,
Yeah.
I think one thing that I learned really fast, getting into the entertainment industry is that it's very unstable. Everything is you could work on good project, and all of a sudden like right now we are on strike, right? So I think the other way that I've been trying to compensate that was I've been using this thing called I have an Airbnb, and also I have an ADU to rent, kind of like a house hack, and also I have a rental unit. So basically how I did that was I kind of really put aside a lot of my income so I can buy a property, and then doing Airbnb and then a rental unit. So that's really helped with my with the whole industry, being in this unstable industry.
Because nothing we do is consistent. It's very easy to see any of us up on this stage and the credits we have and say oh, they work a 9 to 5, they have consistent income through the year. But the reality of the situation is that we have weeks, if not months sometimes, in between jobs where we're not working. We could come across a strike, which is a necessary evil of working in the union structure. So it's immensely important for us to be open with everyone and saying it's this job is wonderful, but you need to be smart and diversify and have those multiple income sources.
And then also in what Jerad say about having I think the goal is I think at least me personally, as a concept artist, you're always kind of looking for work, right? And then sometimes you have to accept a job that maybe you don't like it, But I think to have that other streaming of income, hopefully in the future I would be able to say, hey, kind of pick and choose the work that I want, to have that freedom. I think that's to me, it's the best, the best goal as an artist, to have that freedom to choose the project that you want. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because even as it comes in waves, you're never at a place in your career where you can every job, you're I don't want to do that, I'm going to take another. It's as someone who has had moments of being able to do that when there's a huge influx of work and we're all slammed, and you kind of have the moment you're okay, I've got 3 offers right now, I guess I'll choose that one as opposed to those 2. But it doesn't there's nothing consistent about this industry. So it's even when you do get to those moments of oh, I can have my choice of jobs, then a strike comes along like we're currently in, and we'll circle back around to the unions and what that all means in context of what we do. But it's cyclical. It's a strike can come along, and all of a sudden you're a foot commercial for Korean. Sure, I'll draw little tutus for individual toes. Why not? I'll take that job that I would never normally go near. Why not? Cool. So that's what it is. But and you've worked on some fun things coming up. I don't know what you're okay talking about.
Oh yeah.
But.
So and also the last project before this whole strike, I got the opportunity to work with this handsome guy for Tron, the next Tron movie.
Yes, thank you, Mario, for saying I'm handsome and not talented. Thank you. You didn't mention my work, but
Handsome and talented.
you want to say it again?
Handsome and talented.
Thank you. Appreciate it. No, he's a
Totally
great guy. I
natural.
love Imario. I love everybody at this table. I'm Luca. Sorry, I wasn't late because I was right on time. I actually was
we
with
were
5
here
minutes.
like 30 minutes earlier.
You're
Well,
on
there was
time,
no
you're
need.
late.
I'm sorry, guys, but Greg is a little overboard. There's no need to be
Yes.
here 30 minutes before the
I don't
panel.
know. We were
know that.
discussing game plans, going through these many organized.
Why do you have
cards that we
notes?
are here.
We say this is going to be a
I don't know what
conversation.
to
There's going to be
tell you.
5 people, which I thank you for showing up.
Yeah.
There's way more people than we expected.
Yeah. Well,
So this was going to be, we all go watch the Marvel panel
yeah, we
together.
all leave this panel,
You
go
know,
watch
with
the
all the 3
VizDev
people.
panel.
So I'm Luca, I'm a concept artist like these guys. Thank you so much. I've worked on movies like The Shape of Water, Jungle Cruise, and some games like the Shadow of War game and Ashes of Creation. Thank you. Just very happy to be here. And yeah, Imario is handsome too.
Well, in the vein of diversification,
Very diverse.
so diverse.
I'm an immigrant.
Yeah, the multiple income sources, as much as it can be in and out of the industry, you have kind of pivoted, along with Jerad and a few other people, into video games as well. Can you talk about this game that
Yeah,
you've
I
been
think,
on for a while now?
On a serious note, I think as a concept artist, what I learned, Jared was one of my mentors, my teacher, so is Constantine. And what I learned over the years is that really you have to be able to do as many things as possible as a concept artist. Even in one industry like movies or TV, you don't just want to be doing one subject, like character or costume or just the creatures, because you'll work less jobs, basically. You want to be able to diversify, be
I feel
very...
personally attacked.
Yeah, you should. But you have beautiful hair, so you get work. You know what I mean? So yesterday, on a funny note, we were walking the streets. There were cops in the streets. A girl walks by and is like, "Oh, look at these guys in costumes!" And the cops laughed. I make a joke. It's like, "Yeah, these are not real cops. They hated me."
Oh,
they killed me. So goes to show that if you have nice hair,
We now have a recorded police joke on the internet.
I know.
Way to go with that one.
Anyway, I was saying so diversifying is very useful. So the fact that there is different industries and in one industry there is different subjects you can touch. And the more subjects you will touch and be able to do, the more and also more techniques you can do, or the more useful you are to a production, so that you'll be able to do sketches and paintings and then 3D and then final paintings, and then you can branch off to characters, creatures, costumes, props. There is also animation, which is an amazing industry. And I know for movie people, it's a little hard to move into other industries like games or animation. They tend to pay a little less.
Yeah.
But the work is so much more fun. Like I enjoy more game work now because all of a sudden I'm doing a weapon and then another day I'm doing a creature and then I'm doing a costume, a building. And it pushes you as an artist so much out of your comfort zone.
Well, it's so interesting because talking about that diversification of your portfolio and going into something like video games, they have a very specific thing that they look for. And I've spoken with a few of my friends who are like full-time video game artists who either work at like Riot or Blizzard. And a lot of them, there is this perception that film industry people, the credits don't quite transfer from industry to industry, and sometimes they require like a portfolio overhaul in order to show that you have those design skills. It's a very odd thing where people in film tend to think that video game people can't do what we do, and it's kind of the same in reverse sometimes. So it's very interesting. Even with the strike, we knew the strike was kind of forthcoming, so everyone started like applying to video game jobs. I know guaranteed everyone here started poking around those job forums in video games, and I have no problem to my ego saying I applied to a lot of jobs and they declined in the negative very quickly, and I was like, oh, okay.
But that's gonna happen. Like be ready. Like 90% of the time you receive a no.
Yep.
And it's not personal. At the end of the day,
It's a little personal. It's,
you don't have nice hair.
on a
As
day
nice
when I
as
had
Imogene.
bedhead and put a hat on, how dare you?
I know.
It's gorgeous. Look online.
a-
I just posted pictures. It's gorgeous. How dare you? Attack my hair.
Go ahead, Jerad. You want to say something?
Yeah, no. Well, I had a thought. But,
Was it about
I
hair?
know,
Because that's
it's
apparently where
dangerous.
we're going
not about
now.
Hair, not about hair. No, but in terms of diversifying your portfolio and being able to tackle things in multiple industries will keep you afloat. So I jump around a lot in film, video game, and now I'm even doing animation. And I've gotten a lot of questions over the years about process and getting into the industry and getting work. And a good way to look at it is to think of your portfolio as your other job. So when you're not on a show, when you're not on a big project, you can constantly just be filling in the gaps in your portfolio and getting better at your work. When it comes to having leverage or power or whatever, or appeal out there, it is really 98% portfolio.
Yeah.
First and foremost. So constantly improving your craft. There was something, and I hope the industry is still like that, but I have found it a bit, well, I was going to say fair, but that's hard to say as a white male. But there's something that I found intrinsically honest about the industry, which was once you get in, and that's a hurdle within itself, but once you get your foot through the door, if you want to pivot, if you want to try something else, it's really on you. Your foot's in the door. All you have to do is be there with examples that prove that, yes, I can do this. I'm already here. And getting a career is a domino effect. Once you get your foot through the door, even if it's a small project, you're meeting people. Those people move on.
Yep.
They recommend you. And so it's this growth. And every time I've ever come across someone who is struggling in with their goals or what they want to accomplish, they should always basically just start with the portfolios. If you want to do a certain job, have it evident in your portfolio and get in and just be ready, because the opportunity will present itself and you want to have that work in your back pocket so that you're ready to go.
That's what I always say too. Like, I like to tell people to always lead with your work, because there are many other aspects of getting into the industry with the social aspect and the networking and the meeting people and all that, going to events, everything, with the hope that these people that you meet will give you opportunities, whether it be the bosses, the productions, the costume designers, or fellow artists. But the only thing you can actually control is the work. Like, you can't control whether or not your fellow artists are going to recommend you. You can't control who's going to reach out to you, who's going to hire you, but you can control the quality of your portfolio, and that's what will get you where you want to be.
Yeah. And also, to both your point, it's getting into the industry, really, that is the hard part, honestly. And getting that door, getting a foot in the door. I had a few contacts growing up, just family contacts of people in the industry, and I tried the route of Facebook, contacting, emails, and I couldn't get any traction anywhere. And I had this feeling that using one of those contacts somehow, if I ever got into the industry, would make me less than for asking for that from someone who I had a contact with. And I pulled one of those strings, was a in-house studio secretary, I guess would be my formal title. That's what was on my paychecks. I was answering the calls at the actual physical studio that they rented the space out to the productions. Hunger Games came in, and I inserted myself to help them get settled, and I ended up getting into the industry as a result of doing that. But what I really learned, and why I put that kind of idea of how I got into this industry and took it as a positive, was I could have gotten into this industry, and if I did not have the skills, I would not have stayed in this industry. Whatever you have to do to get your foot in the door, get it, and if you have the skills, you will stay and have a career. Because the industry is always looking for talented people who can do this work. So if you get in, your skills will keep you here. But if you do not have the skills, this industry will just bleed you dry and spit you back out. Yeah.
There is always like 10 people outside of the door ready
Yeah.
to get in.
So it's just about getting in and really getting started. But I'd love to kind of talk about our union system and about the strike going on, because I know from the outside it seems like, oh, you just work on films. But there is an entire governmental structure, ostensibly, that we are a part of. So how many of you guys here are kind of familiar with what the film industry unions are? Okay, so actually some, but not too many. So basically, I mean, again, jump in here, anyone. The film industry is segmented into different unions. You kind of have the producers at the top, who are the financial backers with the studios and producers. Then below that, you have the Directors Guild, Writers Guild, and Screen Actors Guild. And then below that, you have the IATSE. And the IATSE represents every member of the working trades in the film industry. So you have the Art Directors Guild, you have the Costume Designers Guild, you have animation, you have props, hair and makeup. It's every union is the working part of it. So every skill set is broken into a separate union, and by participating and paying dues, you are granted basically a scale, which is our industry minimum for each of our classifications. You are given health insurance. If there's any abuses that happen on set or on your production, you have the union that will step in and be your representative and protect you. There's also just social benefits in terms of being put on rosters and being listed with the union. But so when the contract negotiations come up, sometimes the union's best power that they have, our strongest power, is to say, to protect our rates, to protect our health insurance, to protect our jobs in a bunch of different forms, they go on strike. So if a contract is not mutually agreed upon, you head into a strike. So that's where we are now, is where the Screen Actors Guild, who are above the IATSE, and the WGA, who has since gotten a contract agreed upon, has resulted in this strike that we're still currently in, that has caused all of us to have either seriously decreased or no work for the past, 8 months-ish? At least 8 months. So I kind of want to talk about, with that aggressive idea that there is a strike and we are all struggling to find work right now, why are you a part of the union? What are the benefits of that union, and why is that union important to you? Why is being a part of a union important to you? And any of you can kind of take this one.
Go for it.
Well, before I jump into that question,
Oh, please go. You can talk about whatever you'd like.
I just want to, tell you like a little bit personal story. Like 4 years ago, before I moved from Texas, from Austin, because I wanted to get into the movies, and but I had no clue of how to get into the union, because my background before was a video games concept artist, and getting into the into the movies, because there's no job board, right?
Yeah.
You don't go to
It's like a secret society, it feels like
exactly.
sometimes.
No, I mean
Yeah.
it is actually
We're hidden in plain sight. It makes no sense.
Yeah. And so I was so I think what I did before was I went to this I just kind of I just gamble everything. I toss all of my savings and just go move to LA, and then registered at a Concept Design Academy. So I would get some some classes and all that. But however, 4 years ago, in this very building, I was there's as you know, a gentleman named Philip Boutet. Mm-hmm. So. One of my teachers told me that you should talk to that guy, and then because at the time he was the illustrator representative for the Concept Design Academy, and then and again, this is going back to what you guys told me, what you guys said about having a portfolio and a good portfolio and all that. So I did that, and then I after Phil gave a speech in one of these rooms, I went up to him and then just hey Phil, I would like to get into the movies, but I don't know how. But this is my portfolio.
Yeah.
Can you maybe help me out?
Yeah. That's how you do it. You hustle. You
Yep.
get in the door any way you can.
Absolutely. So yeah, and then like, you know, God bless Phil, and then he wrote me a letter of recommendation to get into the union, and then the rest of it is like, you know, it's how getting into the union is one thing, right? But getting work is another thing.
The one thing the union does not do is help you get work.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Doesn't guarantee it. No.
It allows you to work,
Yeah.
but will not give you the work, help you find the work, even point you in the direction of where there is work.
How many times like a new guy comes in and is like, so what is the jobs?
It breaks my heart because to get into the union is expensive, and the reason why you get into it is because any major motion picture television show that isn't indie is through the film unions in Hollywood. You have to be in Los Angeles, you have to be a resident of Los Angeles, you have to be a part of the union, and then you are able to work. It does not guarantee you
There's
work.
a blood sacrifice at some point, right?
Yes,
You guys all do that?
Yes. No, it's very hard, and what breaks my heart is when people pay the cost of coming into the union, and then they sit there and they're like, well, why is no one calling me for work? And it's like, oh, that's not how this works. Honestly, I recommend most people find the contacts, build your network, and show people you can work. And when you start getting the offers or the interest, or people think you can do it, say, hire me and I will get myself in the union. Because then you have the job offer that can pay for the dues once you get in. But it is a protection and the ability to pay. It does not guarantee you work. And a lot of people fall into that trap.
Well, the costume guild is one of the easiest guilds, I think, to actually get into.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying.
I can't tell if that's like a secret or if that's like a PR thing that I'm stepping in.
Should I have
don't
not
know.
said that? Because I'm in a couple of unions. So I'm in this one. I'm also in the Art Directors Guild. And
Dual card members, what's up?
yep. And I got in on Batman versus Superman.
Into CDG?
To CD, yeah, that's how I got in. And I started on I guess it was a trial run. I didn't know because I was working for visual effects houses and vendors and design studios. So I didn't know anything about the union. And I was brought on. The director liked my work, so they decided to keep me. But you know, there's only a certain amount of time you can have someone non-union on a show, and then they have to become union. And I didn't even know the union was good.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was like, why do I have to pay for
Unions
this?
are good.
Unions
Trust
are
me.
incredibly good. And suddenly, you know, I was kind of forced into it, and there are all these incredible benefits, like medical benefits, retirement. There's someone who fights for you if you have a grievance or, you know, something bad is happening.
Our hardworking representatives like Miss Oksana Nadavnia, who's
Right
our
there.
current illustrator rep.
You know, just absolutely wonderful people having your back. And, you know, I didn't even know about that at the time. So it's an incredible time to actually be an artist because there are panels like this where people are very accessible. I started off walking around Van Nuys in 2005 looking for work at practical effects houses as a creature guide. And I would literally walk around with a clear plastic folder with Xeroxes and color copies of my stuff and drop it at special effects houses. You know, this didn't exist. People were not accessible.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are a lot of things that are hard today. Obviously, you know, we don't know what's happening in the industry. But currently there are more jobs. I mean, no, of course, obviously we're on strike, but currently there are more jobs for artists than there have ever been between, you know, film, television, video games, apps, NFTs even.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're talented and motivated, there are definitely opportunities, and it's so, like, we're right here.
Yeah.
Like it's
Hi.
It's so absurd.
Can I get your number?
Can
Can I give you a hug?
I'm on speed dial. You always can give me a hug. I'm always up for it.
But no, it's that I call it. I shouldn't call it this, but I call it the Walk of Shame, where I think it was Keith Christensen who we have this place that there's several places where costume departments work, and There's this one particular place where there's just a bunch of offices and then trailers and bungalows in the back, where every single area is its own costume department. So you'll have one Marvel show, one DC show, one network TV show here, and he goes, just print out your portfolio, and it is going to be the worst experience of your life, and you're going to walk from room to room and say, hi, I'm a concept artist, will you hire me? And I've never felt anything like I did on that day. You are walking into unknown situations of like people having arguments and being like, here's my work, and then there's people who are, it's just so much, but it was so humbling, and honestly, I know if I were to ever experience struggling finding for work, I had that as an option. I could still, to this day, print out my stuff with an iPad and go into those rooms and still be like, look, this is what I got to do, this is what I got to do, you know?
Yep.
It's kind of what you have to do it, but I've gotten, especially with everything going on in this industry, with the strikes and with everything going on with AI, pushing back against and protect. I love my job. I love doing what I do. I love working in the film industry, and there are a lot of industries who are not lucky enough to be protected by the unions. So I take the protection of our unions very seriously, and it means a lot to me, and it's something I'm fighting like tooth and nail to make sure that our unions are as strong as humanly possible to fight off things like AI. It's ultimately one of the main reasons why Hollywood is shut down right now. If you notice the WGA and the SAG, one of the major sticking points in both unions is AI regulation, and that's what they're fighting back against, and that's what's causing these huge issues. Film industry it's like a $3.7 trillion a year industry, and the unions have ground it to a halt to prove a point that we need our jobs to be safe from these technologies, otherwise it could decimate Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at other industries who do not have that protection, it's terrifying to be an artist in modern day. So it's like, that's why I want to discuss unions, why I want to talk about the positives of unions, because that's what will hopefully protect us against this new crazy world of technology that we're advancing into.
And I'll say, if I can, add it up about, this like personal experience, right, from like getting from like a video games to like a union, is that I really feel like like the peers, like we are really like stick together, like mm-hmm. When I was working in the video games company, it's kind of like they're really segregated the artists, like when you talk about the salary, mm-hmm. Like problems, like you talk to the HR, right? And then the HR, they're not artists, because nothing against the HR, right? But like, they don't really, cancel bullshit.
Yeah, but companies specifically don't want their employees
absolutely
talking about their rates, because then they have no leverage.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
But it's not illegal to discuss your rate ever.
Yeah. And they want you to feel like it is, but discuss your rates with your friends and colleagues.
And we do that constantly. Like, it genuinely hurts us if one of us is making significantly less than the other, because that gives them leverage. So we openly discuss rates, and we go for it all the time. Like, ask for more, that might be a bit too much. We're just very honest with each other and very transparent. So it's kind of a family in that way, and I've always valued that transparency.
Totally. You've had an interesting
absolutely.
Arc.
No, totally.
Interesting arc with your rate.
So, like, I have some very specific examples that I've been actually talking about quite a bit this weekend from Jerad and Luca. On one of my recent jobs, the producers tried to pull a fast one on me, basically, and I gave a rate that I wanted, and they tried to convince me that, there's a cap on
that's too.
all the
we're
art
not
department.
doing that one. Yes, no, it's too high.
Yeah.
We've capped everyone.
We've capped the entire art department at this specific rate, and I'm like, I'm not sure I believe that. I've got a pal right here on the art department that I'm going to call up right now and see what he's getting, and he told me, and I'm like, okay.
You just blew his cover, by the way.
I'm not saying with the project. I didn't mention the project.
Oh, okay.
And I was able to, and actually at the same time, Luca and Imario were on a Disney, this was a Disney project, was on a Disney project as well. And so I compared there also, and they were in my department, so it was sort of a better comparison. So I had 2 examples of actual rates that were happening, and so I was able to use that as leverage to the producers, and it totally worked. Like, I formulated a very sweet, yet with a slight spank of an email, saying, look, I actually know what's going on here, and I believe there are some people there that make my rate look like a bargain. So how about that?
Pay me my money, yeah.
I'm very proud of Imogene's negotiation.
Yeah.
Aw,
No,
thank
she's
you.
so good. Like, we were... In that sense, like, negotiating is so... Sorry. No, just to, break a lance for Imogen, she taught us a lot, because she's so good at negotiating. We were on another project with a bunch of us. All of a sudden we were talking, we found out she was making more than us. It's like, I always ask a little $50 more every project. And I'm like, wow, you're smart.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, God damn it, everybody was trying to call the producers. So, yeah.
One of them was a guy who gave me my initial rate talking to.
Yeah, and then he was lower than you.
And then, he was mad and very proud at the same time.
Very proud
Yeah.
of you. Very proud of Imogen.
Well, it's so important. And also, just everyone, if you guys are going to have questions, start thinking about them now. In the next 5 minutes, we'll switch to a Q&A. So start getting those ready. I think there'll be a microphone in the middle. Yeah.
Don't rush.
Don't rush. Don't stress. But no, I think that rate discussion. We are a small group of artists. There are not many in Hollywood who do what we do. And even within our own union, our rates are high. And honestly, I equate that to a few different things, but the main thing is that we discuss our rates. We have rate transparency. We've even come together as a classification in our union informally and sat in a room together and said, okay, cards on the table. What is everyone making here? What are your skill sets? How long you've been in the industry? And we mapped out a giant timeline and said, okay, this is where people are making above our scale, which is our minimum wage. And we were able to see, holy shit, you've been in this industry 10 years longer than everyone else, and you're making $20 less an hour than people who are a year in this industry. And by doing that, we were able to pull everyone into kind of the frame that they should be. So it raised all of us together. And we have the benefit. We are lucky because we have that familial relationship. There is not that many of us, and not a lot of other people can do that, but I highly recommend everyone in any industry you are, talk with your colleagues, talk with your coworkers, have these conversations, because it very much raises everyone together. And there's another thing quickly on rates I'd love to talk about. In our union, sometimes the people in jobs in other unions in costumes, or even in the other classifications in our union, hear our rates and get upset. And their response to our high rates is, I don't make that much, you should make less. And I want to just halt the conversation right there and say, no. We are making what we should make. If you think you should be, if you don't make as much as us, you need to be making way more than us. So never, if you're here, if someone's rate is being higher than yours, don't say you need to make less. Say, I need to be making more. Because that is such a shift in perspective that I think could be so important for everyone here to think about. So if you guys have questions, I'd say start lining up at the microphone right there, so we
They can just shut them out, really. It's like five.
No, it has to be on the microphone, so it's in the recording.
I apologize for my informal.
No, you're good.
Hi, so I just want to say thank you to all of you guys. I love all of you guys. I love your work. I've been following a lot of you guys
too.
for a while. But my question is, you guys touched on something that I didn't even know about that I thought you guys could easily just transfer over to video games, and now I'm finding out you can't. So as a concept artist who loves video games and film, what portfolio should you have, or should you have multiple portfolios for different industries, or are you able to have just a universal portfolio, if that's, hopefully it's not a taboo thing to say?
Video games have come so far. It's essentially the same job. I do a lot of, big CG characters for movies, And it's essentially the same gig, and the resolution in games is like so high. There's really no difference. I would suggest just pushing your portfolio and making it as realistic as possible. You know, it also depends on what kind of games you want to do. If you want to work for Riot, obviously you need that kind of work. But it's essentially the same portfolio. Like if you were even doing character design for video games, if your characters have realistic proportions and could function in the real world, kind of. Like they don't even have to completely function in the real world because so many superhero costumes are actually altered in post to work and like cleaned up. So just a solid all-round portfolio of the things that you're passionate enough is enough. Like you don't have to really have two separate portfolios.
See, this is why I love having these conversations, because I was told the exact opposite.
Really? Yeah.
Well, I spoke with a friend of mine who works in the video games and was basically like, look, we were just going through the hiring process of looking for new artists. And I'm not going to say their name, their studio, or the job they're working on, but showed me all of the portfolios that they were looking at. And it was definitely a more, I don't know how to describe it, but they were looking for a specific type of thing at that studio, and they showed it to me, and I was really taken aback because their end result, the sketches that they were looking for, the artists they were looking for, was so different from the hyper-realistic end product that the game creates.
Right.
You can pretend like it's a Spider-Man game
Yeah,
and say
well,
like those are human
Every studio is very different.
Very different, yeah.
But also every single client we have, every single costume designer, every
It's
single
so
production
different.
designer
Thank you.
is different and wants a different process. And so you have to have a diverse set of tools, you know, to work with everyone. And my experience is a bit different. My approach to these industries has just been really pushing my portfolio as far as it can go. And when they come to you, it's a lot easier. So that's always something that I urge people to do is like, if you're experiencing a lull or anything, devote the time to getting better and creating work that shows how you're marketable for the things that are happening today.
and versatile.
And again, it's a domino effect. Once you get your foot through the door and you work hard and you're able to finally get noticeable things on screen, it does get easier because suddenly you're the person that did that thing and they want you. So it gets progressively easier if you're willing to put in the time. The time is immense. I cannot stress that enough. It's like ridiculous hours, and there's a reason why, you know, some people have these amazing portfolios, and oftentimes it's just simply that they're willing to just sacrifice more.
Sacrifice.
Yeah,
that's the word.
And that's what it boils down to.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Hi, yay. I have 3 questions. Is that okay? Should I ask them all, or should I go around?
Let's start with one, and then just because I want to make sure to get through everyone.
Yeah, maybe if you do one and then go to the back.
To the end, yeah.
Yeah, that might be fair.
In industry, like, I'm trying to think. So, like, for something like environmental design, I don't really imagine, like, except for, like, the director and maybe et cetera, having, like, some input or / control over, like, how the environment stuff plays out. But, like, for costume design, where you have an actor who's going to eventually wear the costume, how much, like, input do the actors and, like, other people have on the costume design stuff?
It's, as someone who has been in a lot of fittings, it's interesting. It depends on the show, depends on the name of the actor, and it depends on the complexity of the costume. So if you're talking about a superhero suit that has been in development for 6 to 8 months prior to them even being casted, chances are their requests and input will come down to comfort. So if there is a high neckline that pushes against their chin, they will adjust that to their request. But unless you are a big name, if you are an actor who's also a producer or director on the show, chances are, oddly enough, if it's something like a superhero suit, they won't have much input because the process has started so long before them. If you're getting into clothing, and if you're styling things where it's purchasing a bunch of items and putting together outfits, that's another thing. If the actor is friendly with the costume designer reaches out before they start designing. Sometimes they will have discussions with the actor prior and say, what are you feeling for this character? Are you feeling a long flowy coat kind of a thing? And then the process will they will be involved in the process.
Yeah, he's right. It really does depend on the actor. I can think of one example where the actor did have some very specific requirements for his wardrobe, and he needed to have James Purse T-shirts. They had to be James Purse and nothing else. I kind of want to say who it is, but I don't know.
Don't say it. Yeah, it's on YouTube. Let's not get fired yet. We're in a strike. We need the work.
I know, you're right.
We love all of those special requests. We'll make them happen as best we can.
Like James, these movies tend to have big budgets and like people want to make their actors happy. So if they need a James Purse T-shirt, have the James Purse T-shirt. It's all good.
That's kind of like a comfort thing too. It's whatever you're comfortable with, whatever brand. Like these actors have been on thousands of shows. Chances are some not as much, but
and they know what works for them.
They know
like
what works
especially
for them,
if
what
it's
they
like
look
an
good
action
in.
star. Like
exactly.
I will say, this was an action guy. He probably enjoyed how James Purse T-shirts moved.
Exactly.
And whatnot.
And then there's comfort, and then the things they're used to. So it's depends. But yeah, they do have input sometimes.
Okay. First of all, I was at your panel yesterday, Imogene, and it was awesome. Hi again.
So good to see you.
So
Thanks for coming.
You. That's my sister.
Oh, hi.
Anyway, I just want to know, what's the major differences and similarities between the concept artist and the costume designer? Like, they seem to work very closely together. Like, what different roles do they have, and what similar roles?
You mean, are you talking about how we work together and how sometimes it could be different? Yeah, it definitely, it varies a lot. I work with designers who will have the entire costume already completely thought out, all the references I need down to the stitch and the button. And it's just up to me to put it all together in a presentable image for when we're getting approvals. And then I work with other designers who actually heavily rely on me to generate ideas. They'll maybe give me some general directions and...
We need a Black Widow suit, go.
Black Widows. Well, that was VizDev.
Well, I got that same thing on another show where they're like, we need a Black Widow style suit, go. We'll check in a week. And you're like, okay, all right.
So yeah, I mean, that's what's cool about this job, because usually I oscillate between the two. Like when I'm on a job that's purely illustration based, where I don't really have to use my brain too much, I'll get to jump to a more concept heavy job right after that. So I don't get burnt out on either process.
Thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to first off say thank you for the very informative and beautiful presentation. I'm going to ask a question a specific question about AI, and there's still some stuff I'm not very educated about what the union and the strike is doing to protect against things like that. So my question is basically, what if, because obviously there's still a lot we don't know about AI and it's still very new. So what if there is a so-and-so artist that maybe works for Marvel per se, and he has an art style that's a staple or iconic to what Marvel is looking for? What if that person or that artist says, okay, forget everyone else, I have my own AI, and I'm going to train that AI to learn my art style, and I'm going to take it to Marvel, and we'll help that AI generate stuff based off of my art style or whoever's art style, and they can generate designs, and then the artist goes in and maybe fix stuff in the AI generated stuff. Is there anything that the strikes or the unionization is doing to protect if somebody does decide to do something like that? And
Well, that's not necessarily how really AI works, even if you want to use your own pool of work. Yeah. So basically, let's break it down. The issue with AI that we have right now as artists is that all these companies like Midjourney, using DALL-E system, that they've pulled images from all over the world, billions of images from all over the internet, and they basically stole copyrighted material for everybody, from big studios like Disney, from personal work like us. So, and basically AI, which it's called an AI, but it's not really an artificial intelligence yet. These are very, very sophisticated not tools, but like software, let's say.
It's the AI generative program.
Yeah, generative program, but they are very sophisticated, but they're not an intelligence, right? So they basically are a very sophisticated collage tool. So they have to pull from something that exists, right? So they pull from all over the world, and that's the issue we mainly have with that. Then let's say people are talking about, okay, what if I create my own pool of work and feed it into the machine, and they only uses that? You technically can do that if it's your own work that you own, which in your case, if you work for Marvel, you own none of that, so you can't do that as an artist. That will be Marvel Disney prerogative to do that, so it basically means that artist is also not needed in that sense. That's why the unions are there trying to protect that, because yes, the studio owns their images, but there's also other laws that says that that we are trying to implement even more, that it's not just the studio they paid for that and they own it, there is also the human component behind it that is important. So that needs to be respected. And then it means that, okay, we maybe need new adjusted laws to, okay, yeah, I'm a work for hire, you pay me and this is your product that I'm working on, but I also have a percentage of ownership on my craft and what I do. So you don't just get to eliminate me and we made you billions of dollars and you just get to eliminate me tomorrow.
Yeah. Also, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Also, the biggest threat to art departments are not individual artists, they're the people above us. So if a costume designer, let's say, wants to just use Midjourney to completely obliterate every illustrator on a show, or a production designer decides to do it, or even a producer or the producer's PA, because these are not complicated programs. They're designed specifically so that anyone can use them to generate images. That's the biggest threat. That's really the concern, not individual artists using it. And then, ironically, your example of, a Marvel artist who has, the staple of those, I work with those guys all the time, and it wouldn't be them, it would be some, horrible money-saving tactic that, if the system is not regulated, will, as mentioned before, just obliterate
also,
art departments.
To finish that point, like let's say in that case, right, in that example, because I think it's an important thing to remember. Let's say I want to pull from all my work, from my portfolio, and create things out of that. Since it's a remixing tool, it's going to spit out things that I've already done. Because the thing is with Midjourney is that taking from billions of images, you don't know where it's taking from. But if it takes from my 10-year career, 11-year career, it's going to spit out the same things over and over again. So really, that fits the purpose. You're just going to, we're designers. We don't just create beautiful images. That's a technical part. It's your ideas and bringing something new. Like when you do creatures, you can't just do the same creature again. So.
But we unfortunately have to wrap up. We are over time. Thank you guys so much for coming today.